AFC South now, where the Colts are trying to win the division title for the first time since 2014. Last year, it seemed like they were on their way until quarterback Daniel Jones got hurt. ESPN Analytics gives the Colts a 20% chance to win it this year. That's behind the Jaguars, who won it last year, and the Texans, who won it the 2 years before that. Daniel Jones had an update on his own health today.
Yeah, I think I'm closer. I think there's still work to be done. I wouldn't say I'm all the way there at this point, you know. So, yeah, I mean, I feel good about where I am and kind of where the rehab's taken me to this point. So, like I said, still work to do and still got to make some progress. But I feel like I'm in a good spot.
Well, let's start with this. I mean, you're not going to do 11 on 11, but did you ask? I know you.
Yeah. I mean, I asked, but yeah, I think right now it's just 7 on 7.
Tim, the Colts and that offense especially were humming last year. The team was 8-2 before Daniel Jones got hurt. They were on their way, it looked like, to great things. What are your expectations in terms of their ability to get back to that level on offense?
Yeah, look, I don't know that they'll be 8-2, you know, to start the season. And look, that would be if Jones wasn't coming off of an Achilles injury. I think he'll rebound fine. Look, he's a younger player than Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers when they tore their Achilles. So I would expect him to come back and move similar to the way we've seen him move in the past, which is definitely an asset of his as a quarterback. To me, the bigger thing ends up, you know, not so much about Jones. They really have never been, you know, this passing offense really anywhere Jones has been, you know, as a quarterback. And so, yes, he can play at a starter level, but I think it's about Jonathan Taylor and running the football, being physical up front. That's really what I think they, you know, need to be offensively to be, you know, I think the kind of team they want to be. You know, much like Philadelphia's success, I think a lot of times, you know, is around Saquon Barkley's success. I think the same thing is going to be true for the Colts. If Jonathan Taylor is really productive and the number one thing people want to stop when they play the Colts, then I think Jones will be a really effective player. If people feel like they don't have to commit to stopping Jonathan Taylor, then and you're just relying on Daniel Jones to play like Matthew Stafford or some of these other quarterbacks in the league, that's not the path to success for the Colts.
Yeah, this is going to be an offense led by Taylor in the ground game. I'm on the same page as Tim there. But I will say, when Jones went out last year, the rushing attack really suffered. I think not having him as a threat to take off with the football hurt some of Taylor's productivity. They went from first in success rate on the ground, the running game, to 28th. And then the other thing I want to see with Daniel when he comes back is he comfortable under center? You guys remember when Kirk Cousins came back from that Achilles injury, and he is older, as Tim said, that's an important point. He never quite looked comfortable that first year. And before Jones got hurt last season, this offense used second most play action in the NFL. Over a third of his dropbacks were play action, and half of those he was under center. So I want to see when he comes back, is he comfortable turning his back to the defense, handing off the football? And then also, is he a threat at all to keep? Because I do think that helps that ground game, which is the identity of this team.
I mean, listen. Daniel Jones went down and they just literally couldn't really run Shane Steichen's offense as he wanted to. I mean, the Colts were such a better team than anybody still wants to give credit for. They were significantly better than anyone wants to give them credit for. And I want to talk about this further. But before I jump into it, please Indianapolis Colts fans, please do not forget to subscribe and watch the full length of the video. When you guys do that, views go through the roof, subscribers go through the roof, and it's not about chasing views, it's not about chasing subscribers, it's about being able to create Indianapolis Colts content that people genuinely want to watch and discuss. So we keep having the most unbiased, grounded, honest conversations about the Colts. Watching the full length of the video and subscribing at the same time, it just creates such an unbelievable effect, and I'd really appreciate it. Like, creating Colts videos is not easy. The Colts are definitely one of those teams that it's really hard to get consistent viewership. And it's again, like I want to be able to create Colts content that people want to watch and discuss. That's why I really try to emphasize, like, obviously, I want the views and the subscribers. Like, obviously, right? I'm making videos, but I want to make videos that people want to watch. I want to be able to have real discussions. Otherwise, I would just make Eagles and Bill LS and Chiefs videos every single day. I'll just become an Eagles Bills Chiefs channel and that's it. You know, and then it's trying to be more than that. And you know, Colts videos are not easiest to get traction. But the Colts conversation always really irked me because they were clearly having such an unbelievable start last year. And yet it was constantly downplayed and seen as fool's gold, as not really anything. And then they hit their rough patch a little bit and then obviously Daniel Jones goes down. Everyone's so into Shane Steichen might be the most underappreciated coach in the NFL or the most overlooked or undervalued coach. Like he is an awesome offensive mind. Awesome offensive mind. It wasn't accidental how well run this offense was, how well executed it was. When I think of even just a game that they came up short against the Kansas City Chiefs, like that game stands out to me because it was just like so many gifts from Shane Steichen. And anytime Shane couldn't deliver a gift or just okay game or Jordan and the key just couldn't do it. And then even that game he put it on a silver platter and they just they couldn't bring it home. Yet, they were still having the success that they've had. And it's just like when they get consistent quarterback play they're just ready to pop. And then this team was genuinely a top team with Daniel Jones as the quarterback. Straight up. We don't have to pretend like that was just because it didn't last and then obviously everything fell apart. It doesn't take away what they were able to do prior to all of that. And it wasn't oh well their luck ran out or teams caught up or that's not what it was. I was going to say it was kind of death by 1,000 paper cuts, but it really wasn't. It was really just we were just ripping this paper in half right now, right? In just one quick motion. And so I am curious to see what Daniel Jones boy would be able to do with continuity. I emphasize this all the time. Continuity, continuity, continuity. Year 2, Year 3 with specific coach-quarterback duo. And now there's an actual foundation to build off of. That is something I'm really excited. Now hopefully Colts fans can help me out here because I don't know is Daniel Jones truly projected to start week 1 or are there still question marks? I don't really know. I try my best not to lock in too much into injury timelines because it's just you always hear such nonsense. From my perspective, you always hear just information all over the place. So, unless it's known that they're saying with Micah, they're clearly saying he's not going to be available until probably October, November. So, it's okay, I know that. But, any time when people leave it kind of up in the air, where it's I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I'm okay. It's just unless you give me kind of a defined timeline, I'm I don't really care to hear much of what you say because it's just so much of it is nonsense from my perspective. So, I'm just curious if you guys have any more ground floor locked in Colts information with regards to that. But, snorts, yeah, I had been saying this for years. It's all up for the Colts, it's it's all about getting Shane Steichen the quarterback that he deserves. That's what it's about to me. And I was amazed with what Daniel Jones was able to do with Shane Steichen. And then cause you heard him be oh, I don't know even if Daniel Jones was fully healthy, if they started out 8-2. He's pretty much saying I don't know if that was real. Essentially, that was his way of saying that. I don't know if it was actually true, this was actually ever sustainable. I think it 100% was. I think it 100% was. I really do. And then that's why I'm going to be excited for a year or two. And yeah, when you come back from an Achilles injury, no matter how young you are, it's still a process. It's still a thing. It's still something new you have to work with and figure out and heal from, even if you are healed and fully recovered. It's still its own process. Again, whether you're 36 or whether why. Oh, you're 26. So, I have no strong sense of what Daniel Jones or who Daniel Jones is going to be, once the season begins and once he's out there. But, I am 100% convinced that there was nothing about this team that was full scald or misleading or the books being cooked or anything like that whatsoever. So, I still think there's so much there. But, it's funny. On one side I would say there's a lot of clarity to me there, but also a lot of murkiness as well. Because of the situation with the quarterback and where you're at and obviously how things ended, right? We saw the ground, snorts, fall completely from underneath them, but I am confident that if you have a healthy enough team and consistent enough play that was Shane Steichen, like you were absolutely positively right there. You were absolutely positively right there, but I understand why teams like the Texans and the Jags and whatnot are going to have more momentum and more belief that they're going to, win the division over the Colts. Like again, the Colts are in a somewhat messy situation. I think that totally is fair, but, snorts, it is a little frustrating if you're a Colts fan. I feel like it's definitely frustrating because you had a light show going, man. You had a light show going, and when I looked at some of those advanced analytics, I remember covering the Colts and looking at Daniel Jones like Daniel Jones was doing awesome. Like again, he's not the flashiest and he doesn't always look the smoothest. Like there's like a jitteriness to Daniel Jones that he doesn't ever quite look right. He doesn't ever quite look smooth. So, everything always almost like kind of feels like accidental and unintentional. Like it's definitely like just got a weird feel for it, but when you looked at some of his advanced stats that I broke down, like some of the stuff versus pressure is like he was just making really smart decisions when the pressure was getting to him, getting rid of the ball. Like it was high-level football and high-level execution when all that was balanced. You give a balanced operation for Shane Steichen to work, he's going to be able to cook. He's going to be able to get Jonathan Taylor to go. Jonathan Taylor was feeling like he was going to be, true MVP consideration without a doubt. And again, make no mistake about it. Of course, the players deserve tremendous credit, but it's like a big part of that is Shane Steichen, right? Calling the offense, operating the offense. It's his vision. And then Daniel Jones deserves a ton of credit for being able to execute that offense. He executed it at a really, really, really high level. And I see no reason why when I see someone who's able to execute an offense, I see no reason why you can't continue that. If anything, it's he flashier plays that feel more inconsistent because you can't always rely on that. Case in point, Patrick Mahomes, Caleb Williams, right? Like you can see the inconsistency, but you rarely see inconsistent execu, when someone clearly has shown that they can execute an offense at a high level, you rarely see that be inconsistent. That is why, speaking of Kirk Cousins, like that is why the Kirk Cousins and the Jared Goffs and what like that is why they consistently get jobs operating an offense at a high level. It's why everyone is always still trying to sign Kirk Cousins because when you demonstrate that, like that typically does not happen flow. Any of the other stuff can happen flow. Your ability to escape pressure, your ability to just handle pressure in general, right? Your ability to do some of these things off script, second reaction, third reaction, that all kind of ebbs and flows. But for the most part, your ability to operate and execute once you establish yourself as someone who can actually do that at a high level, that doesn't, from my experience, doesn't really fluctuate as much as you would think. So, why Aaron Rodgers is still balling. It's why you were able to bring in Phillip Rivers, man. That's actually the perfect example. It's why you were able to bring in Phillip Rivers and actually have a semblance of an offense. Certainly wasn't pretty, but it was like, it was something. It was legitimately something, so, yeah. And again, a lot of that is the resiliency of having a Shane Steichen being your play caller and, snorts, your offensive coach, so yeah. It's going to be interesting to see where the Colts land in all of this right now. Like I said, to me there's a lot of clarity there because of the belief that I have in the roster and the coaching staff and all that, but still a lot of fogginess. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the, Indianapolis Colts? What direction do you think they're heading in? How do you think this is all going to unfold? Do you think they can bounce back and become the team that they were when they started off the season last year? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here. I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.